All right. So here we are, episode 3 of the No CMO podcast. I'm here with Pekka from 3D Bear and a lot of other different companies as well. He was in the 3D field. He's also in the AR field and the VR field as well. Big time in that space. Really interesting person. Has done a lot in that space. Really impressed by what he's done. So we're here today. Pekka, if you just want to tell them a little bit about what you do, what you're doing currently, like just what you're working on.
Sure. So I'm CDO, so Chief Design Officer of 3D Bear and co-founder as well. And 3D Bear is an augmented reality video app for education. So basically, we are creating augmented reality app that kids can create their own designs in augmented reality. So it can be anything between redesigning spaces. So really like communicating with even professionals like architects and the landscape designers, or just principal inside the school or teacher. So really like bringing into their field of view kind of through their device. So mobile device, whether it's tablet or smartphone, they can create 3D designs in there in seconds and basically show that for the whole class and elsewhere as well. Of course, share it in social media as well.
So that
it's really about
mhm.
it's really about communication kind of. It can be storytelling, but it can be something really practical, kind of like redesigning your school.
Wow. Yeah. So this could also kind of help kids to figure out what they want to do as well. If they want to go into something like design, right? This is like, this could open their eyes to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say because the app is so easy to use and quick to grasp, so it's not only those who want to be designers. It can be,
Mhm.
engineer. It can be city planner. It can be electrician, uh, plumber. It can be anything
Basically
because
any application, you could basically use it for almost any application as well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ever when you have a way of kind of showing and communicating something physical, pretty much then it works already. So that's what we are doing, really, like looking into the future, that kids of today can be a lot better communicators than we are today as adults.
So how do you see this being implemented in the future? Talking about the future.
Yeah, well, definitely there will be AR glasses. So today there is only for basically prosumers or developers. There is Magic Leap and there is HoloLens from Microsoft. So those are the glasses today mainly. Of course, there's some others as well, but those are the leading ones.
Mhm.
But they are expensive. They are not for consumers yet. They are not for schools yet. I mean, at least elementary school, preschool. Of course, some universities and vocational schools have those, but it's really rare, and there is not much content yet
So you're trying
on
to
those.
create a solution that can be used by regular people, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
And,
what's
and
the point
today,
if it's not, then like you said, then it's just for developers and then the general public is, left out. It's like laptops, laptops used to be what, $5,000 or something, now everybody has one. So do you kind of see that happening with this? Like it'll become affordable and then it'll become normal and very useful.
yeah, definitely. I mean, already it is. I mean, if you think about kids, they use Snapchat, they use Instagram filters, they use augmented reality already. So that's not a new thing for them. It's more new thing for teachers actually. So for older people, but kids, it's
Yeah,
kind of
kids are
everyday
used to it,
thing
right?
already.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they're used
yeah,
to it. I mean, they have it on PlayStation and Xbox now, the goggles, right?
yeah.
So they're probably playing, Call of Duty with that on anyway.
So kind of like augmented reality is out there already, and
Hmm.
and we have to remember, like, if my background lies on 3D printing a lot as well, what we're gonna talk later probably,
Hmm.
but augmented reality is supported by huge companies such as Google, Apple. Those are the leading companies. Then Microsoft, of course, and all the others, Magic Leap and
Hmm.
so on. So you can trust, and it's fully digital. So you can trust it's gonna expand. And already, Snapchat, Instagram uses augmented reality. So it's not gonna go away anywhere. It's only gonna grow really fast now at the moment.
And you may have seen this newest GoPro camera that records 360 video. I don't know if you've seen it, but so if that records 360 video, then we're going to need a way to watch 360 video. And what's the best way? The augmented reality, right? So that's going to become normal. Our phones, the iPhone 15 probably is going to be record 360 video. You're probably going to be able to watch augmented reality right through it. So
well, that
something.
most probably will be on the VR side, so virtual reality.
Yeah, can you like kind of talk
there
about
might
the differences?
Be some, there might be some connection to AR as well, but mainly 360 videos today are still made for virtual reality.
For VR, okay.
Yeah, so basically the difference is that I see VR, so virtual reality, it's more like a static way of consuming content. So it's like a traditional linear TV, so you sit still usually, you're not on the move, you're not mobile, but you are kind of jumping into totally different worlds. So it's more immersive in that sense, that you actually are in it more than in AR maybe. But what's the big benefit of AR is that it's on our tablets and smartphones already, so it's on the go. So basically you're always with it. So if you compare like a desktop computer to mobile device, I think that's kind of the analogy there.
Okay,
so
I see.
That's why I see AR has a lot bigger potential.
VR, VR, you're still stuck to a computer, or you're stuck to X, whatever it is that has to basically, you have, even if it is wireless, you're still near something. You're near a TV, you're near something that you have to basically be connected to, or at least within close proximity to it, right? But with AR, like you said, you could kind of you could take it on the go. It's on your tablet or,
and main aspect is it can be sometimes attached as you mentioned. But there is Facebook or with the Oculus, they already have those wireless devices for VR. But the problem is that if you block your view, you can't really move. You're gonna hit the wall immediately.
Yeah,
or you're gonna trip.
The logistics aren't really worked out.
So then you kind of go in between. There is called mixed reality, which is kind of a mixture of AR and VR, and in between. So it's kind of like devices that can be blocked as a VR, but also can be opened up with the camera. So when you are kind of in AR more. So basically that you would have those VR goggles that actually hides your visibility to real world, but then you open up the camera view with the device, and then you see through the camera lens basically your environment.
So that'll be
that's
both,
kind of mixed reality, but that's a bit kind of tough that people usually know more those words as virtual reality and augmented reality. So mixed reality is also a bit mixed kind of as a phrase or a name. Most of the people don't kind of know what it means exactly. And it's hard for me even. I'm not sure is this the best way to explain it, but yeah.
So you've used this in like classrooms with like or used your software, and like you've implemented that in classrooms already, or with kids?
Yeah, so we are based in Helsinki, Finland, and New York both, and we have 2 offices. And in Finland, we are still a little bit bigger, but also the borders come soon ahead. So Finland is a small country, only 5.5 million people. So it's even smaller than New York State or New York City even.
Wow.
So So basically that's why we started quite early in US. Also we have US investors as well, 2 US VCs on the educational field. So we started in US quite early, and now we have like a full year in behind us in US, and we have around 100 paying customers over there. Altogether, nice. There is some thousands of classrooms, around 5,000 classrooms around the world altogether. and about 100,000 learners you could call, so teachers, students, and so on. And a bit less than half is still in US, but that's going to take the lead very soon.
Okay, are they so do you guys provide, so can they customize it to their to their classroom or to their subject, or how does that, like, do you have preset programs, or like what's the I guess what's the structure of it?
Yeah. So what we offer for schools or teachers is that first of all, teachers have their own plan, so which differs from students naturally. So first of all, it gives the privacy for students, so we don't ask students emails and passwords and
That's good, yeah.
but they are kind of always under the teacher's account with the nickname and class code. And so teacher will create classrooms so they can put those students there under their account. For teachers, we have challenges and lessons. So lessons are like lesson plans that are aligned with the curriculum. So Common Core standards usually in US. And then we have curated content for 3D models. So kind of half of our models, around half are for free for basically consumers who want to try out, and the paid version have the full benefit. So all the models, and those have been curated for different subjects. So for school subjects, and which I mentioned earlier. Some are, for example, furniture. So we have lesson plan called Redesign Your School. So basically, teacher can start with asks about the students. So questions that think about what place in your school is a bad design place, or boring, or you don't like it somehow.
I could think of a lot of places in my school.
So first, it's a discussion, of course. So why is it so, and kind of problem solving and creativity, what we are enhancing here. Creativity is a kind of the main subject what we are teaching in general.
I love
so
that.
We don't have like fully aligned like curriculum for one math course for sixth graders.
Yeah.
We are more still a supplementary tool. So we have lessons for many different subjects, but not like the total courses for the whole year yet. But yeah, so then they discuss, and once they have kind of get started, then they take the devices and go to that spot and start to design. And you can do in seconds or minutes kind of designs. You press the photo button, or if you press and hold, you can take a video, and you can narrate the video. So there is the voice recording as well. You can create this way in a new way, new kind of presentations.
So they can make their own, they can make their own presentation basically on the spot. They could throw that, if they have an iPad, they can throw that in iMovie. They could edit it. So this is basically, like you said, a supplementation to facilitate a creative learning environment, basically almost making them feel like they're playing a game, but at the same time, it's stimulating. They're learning how to put things together. They're learning how to work with other people collaborate on designs, right? Like, so it's all of these different elements. Whereas like, if you're just sitting there watching a PowerPoint, like it just doesn't process like something like that.
Yeah, and it's called Bloom's taxonomy, which explains like different levels of learning. So remembering, so if you read book and remember that by heart, that's kind of the lowest level. But creation is actually the highest level of learning. So that's what we teach is the creativity and then learning by doing yourself, not like seeking ready answers or ticking boxes that which one of these is the correct answer. Really like open-ended questions and tasks. So that's why the app is also fits for every ages. Basically, 4-year-olds are the kind of youngest who are able to use our app. So that tells a little bit about how simple and easy it is to use.
Very user friendly.
Yeah. And well, I mean, there is no age limit after that, so it can be anything after that. But basically, of course, we are working with schools at the moment, not with the consumers. But I mean, nothing kind of holds down to consumers to download it for free and test
Are
it out, the
you
free version.
are you looking to expand that? Like, are you looking to get consumers on board, and or is this kind of tested
Not
out with
now.
the not now? You're gonna wait.
Yeah, not now. I mean, we have done some kind of tests, but consumer market is hard also.
Oh
You need
yeah.
a lot more money for
Yep.
advertising.
Have you?
Uh,
Yeah.
Competition is
Hmm.
really hard on that side.
Sure.
We did, for example, one campaign with the most successful, famous video blogger in Finland. He have like
Oh wow.
500 million views all together in all his videos.
Wow.
So he's really famous here, but he only makes it in Finnish, all the videos, so not famous elsewhere. But
Mhm.
yeah, we got tons of downloads, but it's really hard to monetize that model as well. So we are sticking with schools, but that was more like a test last autumn.
Sure. So so you've done some influencer marketing then, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
How have you gotten how have you gotten it to 5,000 classrooms? Like, what's the um, are you behind any of the marketing with that, or could you talk about that at all? Or
Yeah. Actually, I am behind the marketing. So,
awesome.
uh, so basically, I'm the lead designer of the product, but also running the marketing. Of course, I don't do it by myself.
Hmm.
There is many of us doing. We are still relatively small team, 10 persons, and yeah. But okay, so about the marketing side, yes, we have done some influencer marketing, so kind of the test on the consumer side as well, but then also on the educational side, so so-called edu bloggers, so bloggers that are usually teachers themselves or have been teachers before, which are a lot followed by other teachers. So those have been really good channel for us, for example.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the influencer side what we have used.
So yeah, my like we were talking before the podcast, my one of my teachers in middle school, actually, he had a website called Super Teacher Tools, and it had millions of hits because back then he was making flash games, and
Yeah,
but it was all teachers. It was millions of teachers watching. It wasn't anybody else. But
yeah,
that makes sense because that model of teachers trust other teachers. They talk to other teachers because look who they're around all day, you know? It
yeah,
makes perfect sense. If they have it in their classroom and, oh, my kids love it, they love to use it, like, and they don't want to do anything else, right? Another teacher is going to say, well, I have to try that now too, right? So
yeah, yeah.
it's basically even the word of mouth with teachers is very strong, it seems.
Yeah. And I mean, uh, of course, and in any field, I would say that the word of mouth is always the best possible way. I mean, because you trust your friends a lot more than you trust on advertisement or nice video and so
Oh
on.
yeah,
So
the trust
it's
is
always the
huge.
best way. Yeah,
On
yeah,
the I on the second podcast, I think I messed up. I'm pretty sure it's the fourth podcast actually now. But on the second podcast, we were talking about trust and just how important that is in marketing, and especially with with any type of education. You know, I mean, there's so much trust going on every single level of, like, these are children. You know, like, we have to trust that who is, teaching our children all day. And I think these, like, the software that you have is definitely could be, it's huge. I mean, like, and like you said, you're trying to open people's minds too, and and import a little more creativity into the structure of school. And I think in American schools, especially, that's mandatory. Like, we just don't have a lot of that. Like, you'll basically have like an art class, and that's it. You know, at least when I was, things might be a little different now, but yeah, I definitely, that makes sense to me. So going off of the marketing and design aspect, how important do you think is design in marketing? Where does that for you, because you're in both, at least a
yeah,
decent amount, so.
yeah. Yeah, well, my background lies on industrial design, so I am designer from profession. So for me, of course, I feel it's stronger than maybe
Sure.
the audience itself. So yeah,
That's
of
fine.
course, I appreciate it a lot
That's your
as
perspective.
as a
That's
designer.
why you're here.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I do feel that it is very important, and of course, again, it depends a lot about the audience who you are targeting. So I would guess like consumer side would be even harder because you have all the world's biggest like companies and brands there against you. So if it's about gaming or if it's about movies, so that's why you have to have even better design than in the educational field only. But of course, in
Mhm.
there also, because that also creates trust when you have good design as well. And especially in our case, I would say the best way to kind of earn that trust and to have that good design is to put it into the app so that the UX works, the UI is nice, and people kind of see and understand how it works easily. And I would say that's the best way because that's also something that once you try it, it's gonna kind of hold you for longer time. Of course, it's a different thing when you just make a video out from the app and you put it to advertising, paid advertising. But also there it helps if the UI is a good looking, it seems easy, and so on. So I would say I would put the most effort there, and that's what we are doing.
So, consistency, it seems like, is
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
want to have the advertisement is beautiful, and then you go into the actual UI of the software, and you're like, oh, this is like not that. Like,
yeah,
because you've seen that before. I mean, you've probably seen it a million times, and as have I. Is the app looks so cool, the functionality is terrible, and it
yeah,
doesn't transfer. So I think that consistency, like you were saying, is definitely. I see that. That's something that I feel like that a lot of people don't think about, and maybe even marketers don't think about. I know, like you don't need a CMO. We're not as much on that design side as maybe some other marketing agencies and people. So that's really important because I don't want to I don't want to forget that. I don't think people should forget that. They should definitely make sure that that's what's important. So did another, I guess, going off of the marketing, did your marketing priorities or like expectations change like before or after funding for the
mm,
for the company?
well, we kind of started from funding
Okay.
basically. So 2.5 years ago we started 2016 August. That's when the company got established, and then we got like really pre-seed round, like 130K only. So
Hmm.
that was the starting point, and then we started from one accelerator here in Helsinki, and after that we have raised now two rounds. The third round is kind of like closing soon. So we have about 2.5 million gathered now altogether. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, after round, then you do have more money to spend on marketing, definitely, because I mean that's what you want. You want to grow. So organic, of course, is the best always, but that's not as fast and easy to scale as paid
Yeah, I was gonna
advertisement.
say it doesn't really scale. It's like the word of mouth thing. Like teachers could tell other teachers, but it doesn't scale is the problem. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
effective in the way that it is, but it doesn't expand well. Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense. So what were the so did you I guess what were the benefits of or like some aspects of using like an accelerator? Like should other companies be looking to do that? Is that did it work pretty well for you guys? I guess it did work pretty
Yeah,
well so far, but yeah, just
yeah,
to get your
yeah,
opinion on it.
yeah. It was definitely good, and it's I think it's on many levels. You meet people that you wouldn't meet otherwise. So you get the connections through accelerator. We have done also in US. We just were a couple weeks ago at the started hyper accelerator in New York, and actually coming next week again to another one.
Nice.
But these are the kind of like 1 week, 2 week courses. So this is not like a long term as the first one where we were like 3 months, where we started from. But yeah, definitely it's and also on the US side, it's definitely about that you get those contacts through them. They have a good connections over there. So
the connection
we
is
have the
essential.
we have the possibility to use their knowledge there, and also about understanding the market on many levels. I mean, it can be about the growth hacking. It can be about a US curriculum, like how to align those standards the right way, what the New York schools want to purchase, what they don't want to purchase, and so on. So it's always those small valuable tips that we need to know. And even if we have person over US, still it's like a couple persons can do only some job. But
yeah, I was going off that. What are some challenges that you faced? Like, obviously not being from here and trying to show the US market your product and sell it to the US market. What has been some challenges for that?
Well, I guess it's just slower. That's all. I mean, we haven't had like big hurdles.
Okay.
Well, I would say biggest hurdle have been getting a visa.
Yeah.
So for
Yep.
the CEO of our
logistics,
US operations,
the logistics of it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
the
we have to be
politics
here
nowadays.
legally. Yeah.
Unfortunately, so that has slowed down. So that has been kind of the biggest issue. But I mean, otherwise, we've been there all the time. But I mean, it takes time also,
Yeah, but
and you need good use cases. You need those. We have ambassador teachers in US. You need enthusiastic teachers that kind of really are starting to see the benefits of our product, and there goes the word of mouth, of course, onwards. So they will tell forward in their school and district, and also they are helping us, in videos or trade shows and these kind of situations that also creates the buzz. So I mean, but it doesn't happen overnight. It takes always time.
It's a process, right? It's a process. And like you said, it's gaining those connections, probably the connections and the trust. And it kind of, it goes from there, but it just has to, like you say, it has to build. You got to start from the bottom and you got to just keep moving forward little by little. Right. But what are your plans? Do you want to expand out of New York? Are you trying to, or are you guys pretty fulfilled there? You got enough going on, or like, what are any future plans?
Well, definitely not fulfilled New York yet, and we are in other states as well already.
Awesome.
Texas, Maine, Alabama. Those are the biggest ones after New York, basically in US. And we are expanding, of course. I mean, you also need the certain certificates that you can sell in the new state and so on. So again, it doesn't usually happen that you can sell in every state in US at once.
Yeah.
So you need to create that process as well. So definitely expanding in US, but of course, individual teachers can download and then purchase online. So basically a plan for themselves, that's of course possible everywhere. But then when we go, district or school level sales, then it's another thing that needs a little bit more paperwork. So, but
more
all the time
logistics,
getting new states
paperwork,
basically there. Yeah.
Well, that's good. So you guys are really trying to expand as much as you can, because I know you realize the value of it. So, and once other people do, then that's really that's the battle, right? Is hey, we have this software that's really going to help people. It's going to help kids. It's going to expand their minds to use creativity, work together. It's such an interesting interesting software that you have. It's when I look through it, and I watched like some of the YouTube videos on it too. I believe there was one that you're basically holding it, but you're walking, and there's like numbers, and it like hits a number. Yeah, like that's so cool. Like if I was in middle school and we had that, like I would be ecstatic, you know. I mean, even now I am, you know, I just think it's
Yeah,
crazy. So
yeah, and that's really like even for the pre-K kind of like can be 5-year-olds
yeah,
even that they're still learning the letters and numbers, and they just put on the floor like huge number and
yeah,
walking around. It's a
they can
different
walk.
way of
Yeah,
learn, yeah,
they can walk
than
through the
you,
alphabet, which is crazy. Like, yeah, you can
yeah,
basically walk the alphabet. Well,
yeah,
and
and
I'll
some,
throw the just as an aside, I'll throw the
yeah,
link to that video I was watching in the description and in the show notes so everybody can see it. But yep.
great, yeah, yeah, thanks. Yeah, so for example, that if you're a visual or kinesthetic learner, so you're not the best at reading books, for example, it's been proven that for example, for some dyslexic people, kids, that if they hold on hand some letter, they will learn it better than reading it from book, because somehow book is the 2D is not the best way for them to learn. And as me as a designer, I'm not the fastest reader ever been. For me, I nowadays pretty much always listen books if it's possible, if there is audiobook. So nobody
Oh
told
yeah,
me in school 20 years ago that, hey, by the way, you should listen to books, that you would be so much more productive. So in a way, school failed on me back then. So
oh,
no teacher told me that fact,
dude,
and
it
I
failed
know it
on all of us.
nowadays. Yeah, yeah. So school is not ready. That's what I'm saying here.
Yeah,
So definitely we need to improve it and create new tools there, because we are different kind of learners, all of us. And then one person learns really well by reading a book and kind of remember all the facts, but that's really small amount of population kind of
it's
that kind of a learner.
crazy. Have you noticed any differences between, I don't know how much experience you had in the US system or even just, you know, talking to teachers and things like that, but have you seen, what do you think about the American education system, if you know much enough about it to talk about, but like what are your opinions just talking to people in it?
Yeah, of course I know something about it. I've been there in schools, visiting there now with 3D Bear. So I would say teaching doesn't difference that much in general. I mean, Finland is the kind of best known in the world of good education. So
Hmm.
we have been in those PISA tests number one for many years. Probably nowadays Singapore have taken us over, being the number one. But I mean, Finland is really appreciated country when it comes down to education. So I have a good kind of like background for it to seek
Perfect.
and see the differences. But I would say that the ways are not that different. So I guess biggest difference today is still like that standardized test basically. So
Yeah.
we don't really have those in Finland. We only have the final exam in the kind of last year of high school basically. But otherwise, it's teachers have been since like 50s in Finland. As a profession, it has been really appreciated job. So teachers have been really appreciated, and also they are well paid here. So, and also they are quite highly educated. So you actually have to go through university for, now I should know by the way, around 5 years. That's my guess. I'm not a teacher though, so I'm not exactly sure. But let's say around 5 years. So in university to become a teacher, and there is a lot of people who wants to become a teacher. So that's why also that the quality of teachers are really high in Finland. Uh, and because of that, there is more freedom for an individual teacher in Finland. So that's why we don't have standardized tests, but they kind of, the system trust on individual teacher in Finland a lot, if you compare it to US or any other country almost in the world. So that's the biggest difference, that you are not kind of look behind the back all the time as much because of
Mm.
the tests. But the methods of teaching, I would say that's pretty similar in general.
I think, yeah, those must be the factors because you can, you know, there's people that send their kids to school here and hate teachers. They're just like, I don't like teachers. They're not like good people or something, you know. there's people who have that opinion here, and like you said, they're, maybe the methods are pretty similar, but the actual execution of it, the trust, the respect, you're leaving your kids with these people for 8 hours a day. It's an extremely hard job. Most of them don't get paid enough. I DJ for kids and play music for them and try to teach them line dances. That's hard enough, and that's just my experience. To be with them 8 hours in a day, like, I can't even imagine, and I think that that's so important to recognize that difference, because that is I think, in my opinion, that's kind of the problem with it, is we don't realize what what these people are doing. It's basically the foundation of your child's entire life. You're spending more time there than they are with their parents at home. But that's crazy. I really, that's a good perspective from you too, because you have both sides of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the best and then almost the worst, basically. I mean, I know we're not ranked high at all, I don't think, in education. So,
Yeah,
but
but there is a lot of good also in US, and then I would say there is also those really like high level, like really stars comes from US. It's just the difference is like the kind of differences are bigger in US than Finland,
I've had great
definitely.
teachers here, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
I've had
yeah,
one out of every 25 is a great one, So that ratio, like, going through college 4 years, have two good professors, like, that's not good, And, I mean, that's a whole other, can of worms. But yeah, that's so overall, I think that your software is definitely gonna open eyes. It's gonna open people's creativity. It's gonna allow them to learn in a different way. We need it. We need it so bad, because even though the system has evolved for PowerPoints and screens, and the actual education hasn't evolved, and that has to happen. Things have to change. So that's awesome. I really appreciate you coming on here and explaining that, and us being able to talk about these differences and everything, and also what you do. So just, I guess, before we wrap it up, do you want to talk about 3D a little bit, like the 3D printing and designs a little bit?
sure. Yeah, I mean, why I'm doing also AR nowadays so much is that
Mm-hmm.
the part of the fact that we are focusing only on 3D in AR. I mean, you can add images or YouTube videos as a flat screens on the wall in AR as well, but we don't do that. So we still, and I am still focusing on 3D even in AR. So I see that 3D is the fundamental kind of, that's kind of the medium there. So that it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter, do you 3D print it, do you watch it in AR or VR, it's still 3D object there. And that hasn't kind of went anywhere. I mean, that stayed in my mind and in my work throughout these years. But yeah, I got known about 3D printing, I would say around 2005. That's my guess. And I
Wow.
really
Yeah.
started to work on it like after a few years after I did made some tryouts at the design school, but really like when I found Shapeways, which used to be from Netherlands under Siemens, some accelerator, if I remember right, which is nowadays based in New York. It's world's biggest 3D printing service for consumers. Of course, companies as well use it, but they started online a service that basically you could upload your 3D design there and then check very quickly what different materials would cost to 3D print that. So then I started with some simple, affordable objects such as earrings. I did. So I've done quite a lot of jewelry, for example,
Yeah, that
women's jewelry.
necklace that you had as well. It was like had a kind of weird design to it. I remember in that one talk you did.
Yeah, it's kind of like a textile. So it's kind of surface the little pieces are linked to each other with the kind of links. So basically it's a one piece when you 3D print it, but actually it contains like 150 different objects basically, which are just linked to each other, creating basically textile.
And I liked how you said too, how even something that's more complicated can be cheaper. It doesn't
Yes.
necessarily mean, so more complication doesn't necessarily mean, exponentially more money being
Yeah.
spent.
So if we think about human beings and if you make handcraft, pretty much always complexity becomes more expensive and more time consuming. More you engrave or kind of
Customized too.
sculpt or whatever is the material and method you're doing, that more details, more complex, more expensive or more time it takes. So time equals money usually if
Hmm.
you buy it as a
Sure.
service from
Hmm.
some handcrafter. So basically 3D printer works in another way that, I mean, computer doesn't really matter. I mean, for it doesn't really matter how complex some shape is. And basically if you create more complex things, shapes that have a hollow inside partly, then it's actually a faster to 3D print. So ball is the best example. So you have a solid ball which have a full material inside of it, or you have this very complex looking sphere object which have like sprouts going in and out, and there is holes and everything, which would be pretty much impossible to do by hand. But because it has less material, it's faster to 3D print. And because it uses less material, it's also cheaper to 3D print. So we have to kind of shift our minds, especially engineers, because if you think about like high performance sports, let's say Formula One or NASCAR
Hmm.
uh, cars, those or airplanes nowadays, those have a lot of 3D printed objects.
Because they have
Also
to be so
SpaceX.
light as well. Yeah, they have to be a
Also,
lot
yes,
lighter. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and usually lighter. I mean, if you want to make sturdy objects and lighter, it becomes usually so that more complex also is better
Mm.
option, and more organic forms. So if you look at the tree trunks or kind of like the roots, how they look like, they are not, geometric. It's very organic looking, and you feel like there is no really rule how they spread under the ground. So kind of nature have always been really good inspiration for 3D printing because of that. Because and I don't mean
Yeah.
only designers, but also engineers.
Well, because nature is so efficient too, so
Yeah,
it's got the kinks worked out, over the millions of years. So yeah, that makes it so you could take a little bit from that, and also, a little bit from the design side, and yeah, and kind of integrate them together to get something that's sturdy, but it's made out of corn, or it's made out of hemp, or so right, like that's really
exactly.
it, because the possibilities are almost endless with the materials that you can use. And like you had, I remember that pendant that you had, like that was made out of all different types of bronze and all different types of materials, but if you did that by hand, it would be almost impossible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, very good example is my eyeglasses. I haven't been at the optician to purchase eyeglasses or sunglasses for the past 6 or 7 years now. So I have been designing and 3D printing them myself
So
since
that's
then.
another company that you've
Yeah,
co-founded or started, or
yeah, co-founded it. It's called Kokosom. We actually shut it down just recently because
oh, okay,
just didn't have time for it,
gotcha,
and there
yeah.
was only founders, so
Mm-hmm.
nobody was actually running it daily. So that was the main reason. But yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, there is a time for everything, and
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
But I
That's
mean,
just
I
an
still,
interesting side project, though. I mean, imagine
yeah.
you're a designer, but you're like, you know what? I want to make glasses. I want to make sunglasses. I don't want to buy sunglasses. Like, I can 3D print them. I can design them myself. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that it was a real brand in between, so
Sure.
it
Yeah.
was running like 4 or 5 years. So before 3D Bear, that actually started after Tinkercad. So I used to be in the original team of Tinkercad here in Helsinki. So Tinkercad nowadays have like 4 million monthly active users.
Oh
So
wow.
probably the most used desktop 3D program for kids and schools around the world.
Because
So that's
yeah, I was gonna say because like CAD and like they're just very complicated.
yeah, it used to
Most of them
be.
are yeah, it
Yeah,
used to be yeah, because
yeah,
and so that's I think that the overall message is let's have it so everybody can use these things because it's going to be the
yeah,
future anyway, right? I mean, if they
yep,
grow up with it, if they grow up with that software, once they get to the actual engineering, they get to the CAD, they get to the whatever it might be, they're going to be so much more adept at it. They are going to be in that mindset. It's not going to be Chinese to them, it's not going to be something that they don't understand. They're going to be used to it. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're at just about 45, 50 minutes at this point, but this has been a great conversation, a great podcast. Pika, I really appreciate you coming on here to explain everything you do. It's really interesting, as well as important, and it's equally interesting as it is important. So, and you're doing a lot of good things, and these kids they're gonna appreciate it. if Even if they don't understand what's going on, they're just having fun in the moment. You're still providing extreme value. That just isn't there, in my opinion, to begin with. So this has been episode 4 of the No CMO podcast. And once again, Pete, I really appreciate you coming on here and explaining and everything. So where can people find you if they want to just kind of follow what you do or follow your company?
yeah. So 3dbear.io. That's our website.
Awesome.
So of course, 3D Bear official on Twitter or Instagram. There you can find. And Pekka Salokannel is my name. That's gonna be hard when you don't see, but
it's
hear it.
it's fine. It'll be in the title, and then I'll
Yeah,
throw all the links in the show notes for everybody, and also on the screen. I'll throw your company up there as well, to make it easy for them, so they can
yeah,
find you. And once again, thank you once again for doing this, Pika. I really do appreciate it.
yeah. This was great fun. Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Ryan again. I just want to let you know of a very important event that's being hosted by You Don't Need a CMO this month. I'm going to throw it up on the screen right here so you can get a visual. The link will also be in the show notes. So this is called Social Growth 101, Everything You Wanted to Know. It's happening July 30th, 2019 from 6 to 9 p.m., 30 West 44th Street, New York City, New York. A little bit about the event. If you're thinking about turning your blog, YouTube channel, or any other social platform into more than just a small side hustle, this event is for you. We'll give you the best strategies in 2019 to grow a massive following on Instagram. This is for influencers who already have a following as well. It's for both. And if you already have a following of over 25,000, your ticket will include introductions to 10 key influencers and celebrities, as well as 5 different brands. So we're going to cover how the Instagram algorithm works, paradox of advertising and why you must spend money to make money, the importance of off-site links in building your profile, and the basics of Instagram analytics, how to evaluate your results without an agency. So once again, folks, this is Social Growth 101 happening July 30th. Be there. The registration fee is $85, but it includes an open bar. This is an event you do not want to miss, guys. So once again, thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.